it's Carrie here from the Female Entrepreneur Association, and welcome to another weekly dose of inspiration to build a successful business. So, have you ever been in a situation where you've put your ideas out there or you've put content out there, but it just didn't have the impact that you wanted it to have? It just didn't seem to connect with your audience the way you really hoped it would, and therefore you didn't get the sales that you really hoped you would from it. Well, if you've ever felt like this or you're feeling like this now, then do not worry, because we are joined by the amazing Diana Alvear, who is a messaging and media consultant, and she is going to be showing you exactly what you need to do to connect more with your audience. So Diana, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Carrie, for having me. I love your video, so I feel very privileged to be on here.
Thank you. So obviously with this topic, with getting connected to your audience, it's not just a handful of entrepreneurs that experience this. It's practically everyone, I think, experiences this at some point, because it's kind of really hard to figure out how do you connect with your audience in a deeper, more meaningful way. And I think so often people test different marketing things and put different things out there. Like even if it's an opt-in offer, they come up with an idea and they put something out there, but they just don't get the response that they were hoping for, and they don't understand why it's not quite working. I think this is something that so many people struggle with, but why? Like, why do you think it is?
Okay, so I'm going to put my media hat on, because I was a reporter for 10 years and I worked as a national correspondent for the last 5 years of my career. So I look at everybody's content from a media perspective. And the first thing that always jumps out at me is the fact that the copy does not match the passion. And the biggest problem is that there's no vulnerability in that copy. I'm not seeing you in your copy. What I'm seeing is all these great promises and all these great offers and these services and stuff. But my number one saying, and my clients get sick of me saying this, is that your why will always trump your what. It doesn't matter what you're selling. What matters is why you're doing what you're doing, why you're offering a service, what prompted you in the first place, what are your personal stories. So I'll give you an example. If you have a health coach and she wants to help women have a better relationship with their bodies, or start eating better, or this or that, great. But there are tons of health coaches out there. There are tons of nutrition coaches. What's going to stand out about this one? Well, what if she shares her personal struggle with her body? Maybe she had an eating disorder. Maybe she went through years where, she abused her body. If she shares that story, that is what's going to resonate. That is what's going to make people trust her and decide, yes, I can work with this person, because it all comes down to authenticity. So if I know your story, if I know why you're doing what you're doing, for example, you're an entrepreneur, you've been an entrepreneur for years, Carrie, and the fact that you have created the Female Entrepreneur Association and you come on and you talk about the struggles and you share what you've dealt with, that makes people trust you. So the first thing that I would recommend to entrepreneurs is take a look at your copy and see if there's any you in your copy. Where is your personal struggle? Where is your personal story? What are you sharing? Because every transaction, it's not just a financial transaction, it's an emotional transaction. So when I'm looking at your offer, if I feel like I resonate with you here, if what I'm reading makes me go, oh my gosh, she gets it, she knows what I'm dealing with, I am 10 times as likely going to hire you versus someone else. I have to have that emotional connection. So one example I'm going to give that everybody can relate to is Oprah. Mm-hmm. And the reason why she's the best example for this sort of thing is because she has millions of fans around the world who trust her, who feel like, oh, if she's endorsing this chai at Starbucks, I'm going to drink it. Why? Because Oprah's drinking it. But she didn't get there just because she had a talk show and she's famous and this and that. The reason people liked her, the reason people connected to her, is because she was so open and she was willing to share her personal struggles. The fact that she had, struggles with eating and with body image and with family problems and stuff. And you just trust people who are authentic. Yeah. So the number one thing I say is really try and infuse everything that you put out there, whether it's your website or your tweets or the blog posts that you put out or the engagement that you have with your followers. Try and make sure that it's authentic at all times, because that is what engenders trust. Yeah. So I would say that's the very first rule.
But so there's two things with that. One, how do people actually get connected to their why? Because even though like we should know it, but it's so intangible sometimes. And I think sometimes when you're in your business already and you're thinking it's not connecting with people, and you also think you're being pulled in a million and one directions because somebody over here is telling you should be like that and somebody over here is telling you be like that. How do you get all of that out of your head and be like, right, I need to figure out what makes me me? Like, is there like a questions you can ask, like a question you can ask yourself, or an exercise you can go through? So that's like the first question I really want to ask. And then the second thing that I really wanted to talk about was then how do you actually have the confidence and the guts to be yourself? Because so often we think, okay, this is me, but you're too afraid to be that person, and to, you know, like if you want to put all that fun personality and passion into something, but you think you shouldn't, and so you hold back. So then that's the second point, is how do you overcome that problem so that you can just like your personality can just shine through in everything that you write?
Okay, those are really, really good questions. And I'm going to start with question number one. So the way to find your why is to ask yourself two questions, and make sure you have some time to think about this, because what you really want is to go into a quiet space and allow your true answers to come up. Not the answers that sound good, but your true answers. So the first question you answer is, why am I doing this? And then the second question you ask is, what personal struggles, what happened to me that created this passion that I feel I've got to take to the world? So I'll give you a fun example. A client of mine wanted to create a service where she helped people find work that really meant something to them, that work that made them happy. And she had all this great copy, but again, she wasn't in her copy. And so I said to her, okay, why are you doing this? And she said, because I know what it's like to do a job I hate. And then as an aside, she said, you know, it was so funny. I was in this job after college, and I hated it so much that I started smoking just to get out of the building. And I laughed and I said, that's it. That's your story. That's hilarious. I mean, anybody who's ever been in a job that they hated understands that sometimes you're so desperate you'll do anything to get out of the building. I said, there's your humanity. There's that human part of yourself that's going to connect you to people. So think about, it doesn't always have to be some deep, dark struggle.
Yeah.
It just has to be something human, like a funny anecdote, something that you can put in your copy. And this is especially important in your About Me section.
Okay.
Okay, so you put something personal of yourself that gives a reason why you're doing what you're doing. Because you've got to get out of your head. This is a very safe place to be when you're writing, not the place you want to be. You want to write from here.
Yeah.
Because when you write from here, this is what connects you to your desired audience. When I was in media, when I was a reporter, I always had to get out of my head and go from here. And one of the ways that we did that was we used as many sound bites from the people in our stories as possible, because we wanted to give them the chance to talk. It wasn't about the facts. It was about the experience.
Yeah.
So always put that into your copy. Now, the second thing is, okay, awesome. So now you have to be vulnerable and put skin in the game. And that is scary.
Yeah.
How do you put your flawed self out there and say, okay, this is me, world. I hope I'm enough. That's the point. Is we don't trust perfect people. We don't trust Facebook facades. We know that there's more to the story than something that looks perfect. We don't want a shiny patina. We want real people.
Yeah.
We want to do business with real people. So think about the fact that, would you rather do business with somebody who's open and shares your struggles? Or would you rather do business with someone who's like, my life is perfect and I can help you make your life perfect? No, you're always going to go for authenticity. So be brave. I know how hard it is to hit publish on a blog post where you're like, oh my God,
Yeah.
I just spilled my soul in that blog post. And in my experience, the toughest ones for me to publish, and usually what I do is I wait until nighttime, I hit publish and I go to bed. Anymore. And in the morning, I find out that those are the blog posts that did the best.
Yeah.
People were actually messaging me saying, oh my gosh, thank you for sharing that, because I went through that.
Yeah.
Think that it's so much easier to connect to somebody and want to share with them if they share something of themselves first.
Mm.
And if you're in business, if you're offering a service, you have to give them a reason to trust you. So be brave, be vulnerable, put your authentic message out there, know your why, and I guarantee you're going to be able to connect with your desired clients.
Yes, I love that. And it's so true. I have had the same thing. As soon as I like put my whole heart and soul out there and like spill all, that's when people are like, oh my gosh, like I feel exactly like this, or I'm feeling like this now. And they connect with you on a level that is just insane, especially because it's like virtual. Like it's just
because you're telling the truth.
Yeah.
You're telling the truth. And so often we're so afraid of letting people see the real you or the real me. You know, we're afraid, oh my gosh, if they know that about us, they're going to think that I'm crazy. No. Well, maybe they will. But most people will think you're awesome and that you're brave. And then they'll say, I like that person.
Yeah. And I think it's the right people that you'll attract anyway, and that's who you want, because you don't want the wrong people working with you, because it's never going to work. So yes, I love all of that, and thank you so much for sharing those steps and those tips. I think it's so powerful.
One last point from you, just from the perspective of getting more eyeballs on your content and that sort of thing.
Yep.
So think about, you know, as a former media professional, I remember when I was looking for experts, and I would think, okay, well, who do I need to find? Where can I find them? And I would literally just do searches in Google for certain kinds of words and things. And the moment I found somebody that I instantly understood what it was that they were doing, I got their why, they were the ones that I called to be my expert.
Okay.
So keep in mind that you're not just looking for clients. You're also you're also trying to put yourself in the best position possible to be found by the media.
Yeah, that is a really good tip.
To huge heights.
Yeah, that is a really good tip. But thank you so much, Diana, for joining us. I've loved all of those tips. If you want to find out more about Diana, go and check out her website and all of her stuff over there. I'll leave all the links on the blog post for you to, so go and check that out. And if you have any questions or any comments about this topic, then leave a comment below. And it would be amazing if you're brave enough to share your why with us in the comment section as well. And then I will see you next week for another dose of inspiration.